Hi friends, welcome to September 2022. This is the Futurecast and I'm your host and cosmic coach, Moriel Loren. Let's get September started with these key considerations. Number 1, what about your life needs to close out so you can move on or move forward? Number 2, what are your relationships reflecting about you? Number 3, what parts of yourself have you given away that you now want back? And number 4, what resources, connections, and relationships can you gather in preparation for meeting major milestones before the end of the year? Star alignments for September 2022 bring relationship review, reclaiming of lost pieces, and the initial phasing out as we're preparing to let go of that which no longer serves us. September brings the first pass of our fall triple retrograde series, alongside the fall equinox, which signals the changing of seasons in Mother Nature, as well as in our own lives. We can anticipate the initial severing of interpersonal relationships, jobs, and attachments as we're preparing to let go, even though it might take all the way until the end of this year for things to fully disintegrate and reintegrate elsewhere. Starting in September, we place a higher value on love, fairness, health, and overall well-being. Nationally, the United States might suffer an embarrassing public fall from grace. There might be some really notable court cases and new laws about health, the environment, and employment. And especially, watch out for some surprising legislation that gets passed that benefits lawmakers more than it does the citizens. With all the chaos going on in the world, value your peace of mind most highly above anything else. In this video, we'll analyze the overall energy for the month of September to get you focused on maximizing your energy in precisely the right areas. We'll also go over a day-by-day playbook of 6 key dates so you'll always know exactly what to do and when. As we go through the daily planetary playbook, keep in mind those initial 4 key questions for the month of September, because that will help you determine which opportunities you want to maximize most this month. I'm ready if you are, so let's dive in. We can't begin September without looking at August. August was a place-setting month in the sky, meaning that it set into place many of the dominoes that are going to transpire and waterfall during the fall season triple retrograde. Here in September, we're going to get our first peek at how the August dominoes are going to begin to affect us. Our initial look at the fall triple retrograde series starts from September 9th to October 2nd. So in order to help guide us into this month, let's actually start by looking at last month. In August, I predicted that the planet Uranus would start a 6-month cycle of limited freedoms, greater financial challenges, the debate between fiat currency and digital currency to be deepening and becoming more stressful, a real crisis about the dwindling of the US dollar, more stress about the emergence of national digital currencies, as well as some information about some very strict new financial policies that would be coming our way. On top of everything, I predicted that there would be some great agricultural challenges in August that would continue affecting us into January of next year. You can actually refer to my August 2022 horoscopes for the exact details and dates of my predictions. I'll leave the link below. So with that in mind, let's see what actually happened in August. In August, US President Biden passed his student loan forgiveness program, which is said to cost taxpayers $240 billion by the end of its 10-year term. Since the law's passing, financial experts have come in and reassessed and estimate that it will cost taxpayers double the initial projections. Also in August, US President Biden passed the Inflation Reduction Act, hiring 87,000 new and armed Internal Revenue Service agents to more heavily tax the middle class and small businesses at gunpoint. In fact, the new IRS job description on its government website states that applying agents must consent to carrying a firearm, participating in armed search and seizure, and participating in armed arrests. That's right, you heard it, folks. The government just used your money to hire more people to tax more of your money at gunpoint. In August, US President Biden also hired the communist China media company TickTock to manage misinformation about his upcoming US 2022 midterm election campaign. Now, considering that China is not a free country, doesn't allow free speech, surveils its citizens, and also censors the internet, that makes for a surprising choice of campaign manager in the land of the free. Biden also announced the commercialization of COVID shots beginning in December of 2022. It will drive huge profits for commercial companies as well as huge costs for individual consumers, since the government will no longer be providing it freely as of December this year. Just a few days later, Dr. Anthony Fauci announced that he'll be retiring in December of this year, just days after the COVID commercialization announcement. Safe to say that Dr. Fauci will probably be retiring to the more profitable private sector. Also in August, former US President Trump's private Mar-a-Lago residence was raided by the FBI just months before the US midterm elections on accusations that he's holding classified documents. And lastly, in August, China, Britain, Ukraine, and the United States all reported agricultural issues and food shortages. In fact, Lake Mead in Las Vegas is now so dry that local authorities are finding the remains of dead bodies that former mobsters had previously dumped there. Well, it looks like all of my August astrological predictions were accurate. So let's see what the stars hold for September. September begins with a focus on being healthy, wealthy, and wise, as Venus transits the sign of Virgo from September 4th to September 29th, allowing 3 weeks for us to prioritize health and nature, as well as planning and efficiency. You might be really intensely planning for some of these major transformations that you're hoping will occur in the fall season. So create systems and checklists so that execution can flow more easily. Now, amid all the multitasking that you'll be doing, you're going to have to also be mindful of your health, your sanity, and your lifestyle balance. So don't get too stressed with burnout, and definitely stay away from toxic situations. You can't be at your best if you're stressed. Relationships and business partnerships are also undergoing a significant assessment during the fall season. Starting in September, you may need to ask if this relationship or business partnership is even really practical. Has this person approached you in the proper way? And is the situation you've gotten yourselves into even healthy? It may take you all the way until October for your relationship assessment to fully coalesce. So start this month and give it some time to play out. Nationally, September is the precursor to a lot more money to be made in healthcare, possibly because they're going to release a new variant of the virus or privatizing testing and vaccination. September also indicates a lot more money to be made through nature. So there could be an environmental crisis this fall that is costly to citizens, but profitable for private response companies. There may also be some new environmental legislation that gets passed this fall. The second next important time frame in September is the Mercury Retrograde Relationship Review from September 9th to October 2nd. This is the first of 3 retrogrades we'll experience this fall, and it's wanting to evaluate our relationships and business partnerships through the lenses of fairness, practicality, and healthiness. So if you're single, this is actually a cautionary time frame in dating, because the romantic interest might come on strong and then suddenly ghost you out of nowhere. It's also possible that the person you're interested in is not being completely forthcoming about their pre-existing situation before getting into a relationship with you. If you're in a good relationship and wanting it to move forward, then September is the time to do some practical planning of next steps. You two might be talking about moving in together, sharing bills, or other practical planning. If you're in a tough relationship, retrogrades are actually really convenient times for breakups. So if you've been looking for your window to make a graceful exit, September may be the time to do so. However, I advise everyone to watch out because retrogrades are classic for old flame rendezvous, and if you do hook up with an ex, you may discover that it was just a temptation and perhaps not a forever possibility. And lastly, if you're in a business partnership, assess the amicability between you and all the partners, as well as really talk about the expectations of sharing practical everyday responsibilities amongst the group. This first fall retrograde from September 9th to October 2nd really challenges America's leadership and public image, possibly through a public embarrassment. President Biden or his administration may experience a very public fall from grace during the fall season. Citizens might be debating who should even lead this country now and going forward, and we may experience other international leaders who are publicly denouncing American leadership. I wouldn't be surprised if there were also a lot of resignations during this time and whispers and allegations of wanting to throw around the word impeachment. There may be a lot of also top government and corporate officials that say sayonara during this time period. So if you're curious about the first retrograde and its effect on the United States, I highly encourage you to refer to my Horoscope 2022 webinar, where I gave predictions for the entire year for the nation of the United States. I'll leave the link below to my Horoscope webinar, and that'll really help you prepare for what's happening in the country the rest of this year. Also, anticipate the review of legislation, some major court declarations in September, and laws coming up in this month about health, the environment, and employment. Now, the Mercury Retrograde starting on September 9th gets kicked off coinciding with a full moon. So I think that September 9th, 10th, and 11th are going to be particularly intense for most people. The third important date for September is September 16th, where Venus and Mars challenge the difference between chemistry and values in the middle of our relationship review period. So you gotta ask yourself, is attraction enough to sustain this relationship? Now, Venus and Mars aspects are really good for hot sex, but are you two on the same page about where things are going afterwards? Also on this same day, Sun and Neptune align in a way that might make it a bit of a nebulous or divisive period on the political scene. Honestly, this date is a bit of a toss-up in the stars, so let's hope that it turns out on the upside. The fourth important date of the month is the September 22nd fall equinox, which signals the changing of seasons in Mother Nature, the official start of fall, and the changing of seasons in our own lives. So what chapter is shifting for you? Fall is the season where we gather our resources in advance of the winter season where cycles are going to conclude. So you might already start closing out some relationships, activities, and attachments in preparation for completing your goals this year, even if it still takes you a couple of weeks and months towards the end of the year to truly complete everything. Your personal process of harvesting is also about reclaiming, remembering, and gathering the pieces of yourself that you've lost along the way. Things like time, energy, attention, sanity, self-respect, and joy are all examples of valuables that we may give away and have rescinded in the process when earlier cycles in our life required the efforts of planting and blooming to get things off the ground. The fall equinox also reflects our relationships back to us, meaning we're going to explore why we've called in certain people and things and situations into our life and what that's telling us about ourselves. Now, internationally, governments are infamous for making major announcements on annual solstices and equinoxes. So I bet there's going to be some kind of major event or announcement coming up the week of the fall equinox. For example, in the past, on the winter solstice, December 21st of 2020, the US government announced the discovery of the vaccine. Precisely 1 year later, on the exact same date of December 21st, 2021, the US government announced the pill version of the vaccine. More recently this year, at the summer solstice, the US Supreme Court announced the overturning of Roe versus Wade. So with those themes in mind, we can bet that we're going to expect a major event or major announcement around the week of the fall equinox. The next important date in our September planetary playbook is September 25th and 26th, where we get a little bit of lift of good luck when the Libra new moon unites with Venus and Mercury. So this could represent a progress point or a halfway marker in the relationship and business partnership evaluation that we're going to be doing all month in September. It's also a generally auspicious time during a generally cautionary period. So if you've been needing to make some important decisions or plan some key events during the retrograde, then September 25th and 26th would be a better time to do so. The 25th and 26th may also give us some further information or some further backlash about the government announcements and world events that are probably going to happen earlier in the week, right around the fall equinox. The final date in our September playbook actually carries us straight into October, where we're focused on love and the law from September 29th to October 23rd. Venus transits the sign of Libra for 3 weeks, making us focused on harmony, fairness, love, beauty, and romance. In October, you'll get the chance to mend or move on from the relationships and business partnerships that you were working on in September. So don't worry, you'll get the chance to smooth things over next month. Also, you might be particularly attuned to the idea of falling in love in October. It'll be a really romantic time period. You may also be more attuned to notions of beauty. So take special care of your personal presentation, your home, your office, and how your business materials look, because we all know that presentation creates a subconscious definition of value of how important something or someone is. Now, nationally, this implies that in October, there's money to be made through law. So be on the lookout for legislation that benefits lawmakers more than it does the citizens in the month of October. Also in October, this infers that there is money to be made through beauty or popularity. So watch out for celebrities and Hollywood actors and social media influencers that will be contacted by the US government to promote their US midterm election campaign. Okay, friends, now that you know the overall energy pattern for the month of September, it's time for you to determine your destiny. Ask yourself these key questions again. Number 1, what in your life needs to close out so you can move on or move forward? Number 2, what are your relationships telling you about you? Number 3, what have you given away that you now want back? And number 4, what connections, relationships, and resources can you gather now in preparation for completing major milestones before the end of the year? Thanks for joining me here on the Futurecast, and I hope to hear about your progress in the month ahead. If today's information was beneficial, then give us a positive affirmation with a like button or signing up for our newsletter online at www.livesymbolic.com. I'd love to help you make the most of the energy that's available to you. So when you're ready to discover how these geocosmic signatures might influence your own personal projects, business, relationships, and choices, then reach out to me for an individual coaching session here at my office or online. I'm always here to help point you in the right direction. Goodbye for now, and until next time, when our stars align.